What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Onyx Report, Black Masculinist news for the day. Hope you guys are well. Hope the day went well. Hope the week went well. We are over here trying to get it in to make sure we can finish the week strong. So, shout out to subscribers, brothers who are particularly supportive on a regular basis. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to the ones that are here at the very moment. What's up, Hybrid? Good to see you. Donnie, what's up? Tahuti, Ishmael, Theodore, what's up? Uneducated Lane, appreciate that support. How you doing? You know what it is. That's right. Like, share, subscribe, join, and donate. Support the channel if you would. Jay Cleveland, what's up, man? AB, what's going on, man? Yeah, hit the like button coming in. It's been a heavy week, and I can't say tonight is going to be any lighter. As a lot of what has kind of been hitting my desk lately, it's been some pretty heavy material. And I wanted to share some of that with you because it goes with the title of today's show. Brothers are tired. Black men are tired. You know what I mean? And if you couldn't see the thumbnail, I will share it to you in another manner. So this is what Brother Marcus, Keep It 100, sent to me. And this came across his desk. And this goes very much with the divestors. And you guys are going to hear a little bit of that tonight. And this highlights what some brothers are dealing with in terms of just interacting with certain types of women. Shout out to Tahuti for the Cash App. Shout out to D. Smitty for the support. Appreciate that. This is some real talk. You have people that think along these lines in very overt ways. And we're talking about sometimes mothers of children who are talking to and about their Black children about kind of perspective you can see here, right? If you can't make it out clearly, as a matter of fact, here, I'll enlarge it because some of y'all are screenshot junkies. So you can see you got a Klansman holding up a naked Black woman, right? And there have been a number of these kinds of images, both, paintings and contemporary ones that I've run across. But it nonetheless highlights what some people are dealing with, But I'm going to share a few more things just to kind of give you a framework for what type of exhaustion I'm talking about. Shout out to Jay Cleveland. All we got. Real talk. Appreciate that support. Let me see. Because I want you to get a sense of what brothers are dealing with. So here's the next one. Now, some of these, I think the longest one is a few minutes, but I'll try and let you know which ones they are. But this one here, about 45 seconds. This one ain't too long. But y'all check it out. So this is a brother who is listening in to a divester discussion and giving his response.
I love it.
Crap. I hate when these. Let me see. Just need to make sure the sound is in the right place so you guys can hopefully hear it. Let's try that again.
I love it because they tighten up. They turn into a whole different person.
Sure, when they tell them to run.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I met a nerdy guy. He's really sweet. We're both ambitious and educated. That's exactly the type of guy I wanted. And it's just like there's no turning back because these dusty, they're dusty. Like they just belong in a coffin. I agree. Thank you.
Thank you, Bianca.
Hi.
So if you couldn't make that out, right? He's listening to a divester conversation, and the women are talking about how these dusties need to be in a coffin. And so you're looking at the expression on his face, coming to grips with the fact that there are women out there who think like this. Unfortunately, that's not the end of it. Here's another. This one is a Twitter post a guy named Gumbo Poppy made a while back, and he just put a picture up, with his daughter, and right underneath it, you can see one of the comments that he received for a picture like that, right? Shout out to Theodore for the support. Appreciate that. Trying to do it, hopefully helping brothers on one level or another. But as you can see, what's written at the bottom is he looks like a child molester. Protect our girls. Right? Picture of him sitting with his daughter. That's the impression that somebody has to write. And the thing about it is it's the randomness of it. It's the frequency of it. It's the kind of back and forth. But here's the thing. People talk about the gender war. They talk about, how, problematic it is and so on and so forth. But the thing to understand about this too is in many ways, Black men for the longest never said anything about this. We didn't have the public stage to do so anyway, but we weren't the ones doing this, right? So again, you can take it back to the color purple era onward, from films to magazines to interviews to talk shows. The idea and the problem that certain types of Black women had with Black men were frequent, repetitive, and inhumane. And they've only continued. It's only recently that Black men have started to respond. And then you got all kinds of people coming out calling themselves being objective, trying to balance the discussion. There's no balance when you've had 40 years of one-way disrespect. And only a number of years of Black men actually starting to compare notes with each other about how frequent this disrespect has been. Right? It's a problem. And I'm not saying there aren't brothers who've been, disrespectful or inhumane to Black women. I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying that one group has had corporate support to broadcast these messages around the world, and I mean around the world. But at the end of the day, this is the kind of impression we're looking at, and some of my students come in with this. I rarely have Black male students that come in, having a problem with Black women. I more frequently have Black female students coming in with certain biases, but here's the difference. The biases they have aren't even identified as a problem. They're not even identified as misandry, because most people don't know what misandry is. But if I do run across a student that has, misogynist ideas, he's been told he's a misogynist. Whether he agrees or not is a different thing, but he's been told that. Most of the women that come in with issues with Black men have never been told that their behavior is problematic, let alone misandric in nature. It's a one-way critique. It's a one-way set of values, and often a one-way set of disrespect. But that's just the second example. Sad to say. Here's another. Now, I hope this works. I'm not sure if it will. I had some problems the last time I tried to use this in class, but hopefully the videos will come out okay on this. So here we go. So here's a video clip that I was sent dealing with one Black male's experience with his baby mama.
Okay, so
I need my clothes and my son.
nah, cause you think you finna go somewhere?
Let me see my son.
You think you finna go somewhere though?
I need to see my son, bro.
No, you can't see him.
So you're not gonna let me see my son? Why not?
Because I said so.
Because what?
Because I'm petty and bitter.
So you just gonna keep my son from me for no reason?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep him.
For what?
Because I want to.
So you gonna keep my son?
Yes.
You really? I'm recording you, bro.
Yeah.
You think it's a joke?
I don't care.
You don't care?
I don't care. Run into that.
Bro.
Run into that.
Get back, bro. What you want me? How you gonna get in the car? You don't give me my son, bro. Give me my son. I want my son. Get your wide body. Get your wide body ass away from my car, bro. Can I see my son, bro?
Are you not? So you're not going?
Can I get my son?
What son?
Oh, so it's
I
what
have
son?
a son. You don't have one.
You gonna go move? Get away from me.
You don't care about.
Get away from me.
You don't buy
Get
him
away from me.
nothing.
You gonna lie?
You don't buy him anything.
So you gonna lie?
Yeah. Brothers are tired. These stories are repetitive. I mean, they just seem to blossom. But I do understand that there is a market for the kind of dysfunction that people want to see. The only thing I'm pointing out today is how exhausted I think Black men are becoming with it. And we're going to talk about what we need to do in response to that. Here's another one, though. But this one is about 3 minutes. And this one's a little different. This one is a young brother who finds out that his child is not his, and the response that he has for the woman in question. So, yeah, Y'all check this out. Like, this comes from Darius's channel. Shout out to him. But check this out.
You a demon, you a devil, you ain't I've been being a real that ain't even my baby. I can't believe this shit. Go to mother. You need to go to you hear me? Shut up. You feel you're a good man. I'm one of the good ones, goddamn. Buying diapers and doing all this real man shit, taking care of the baby. Whole time you been around out there in the street. This ain't even my damn child. Man, my child, man. We got a real damn. You is a devil. This whole time you here. I understand you mad, bro. Come on. You don't understand shit either. You don't need to hustle goddamn mouth. I need to stop yelling. Man, look. Hey, y'all gotta don't say another mother word to me. Y'all need to stop that. That ain't even my child. For real. I've been buying shit, spending my hard-earned money, and this ain't even my child. Come on. The baby crying because the baby is ashamed of her mother. That ain't even my goddamn child. If I was a real, you ought to be ashamed of your mother. You want to use somebody else. You want to use me up for goddamn. You want to see, I don't want to hear nothing you got to say. Just get up, you leave. Get your life together. Bro, just get your life together. I've been a real man. Oh, God damn, I can't believe this mother. Y'all take him out of here, like. Come on, bro. Child, man. Man, you doing this all the time? That look like my child, bro. Hold on, y'all take a look at this goddamn baby. That look like my child. Man, the paperwork, man, in my goddamn child. The paperwork. You, the paperwork, everything you told me, you lied. Right. Yeah, nothing but a fraud, yo. Come on, you just a fraud.
They're so tough. I wasn't even with him for real anyways. Like, I wasn't even with him for real anyways. Like, I was whoa, like, don't let them back in and shit.
I'm thinking my child, man. I'm thinking my child. I've been buying shit. I've been buying shit, man. You pay the bills too, don't you? I thought I was doing some real shit, man. Well, you go. Come on, you know you're real back though, man. You take care of the responsibility, bro. What you mean? Got a loan to pay for all this.
It's ridiculous.
I ain't even my goddamn baby, man. This girl, goddamn devil. Yeah, she look just like you, though. Man, that man don't look like me. I'm learning. That ain't my child, bro. I'm hurt, man. I ain't gonna lie. I made something with a little improv trying to be up. Yeah, that shit got me hurting this. Come on, bro. You a real sorry, bro. Man, you ain't gonna be alright for a while, man. I've been buying shit for that child, man. You about to be saving a lot more money now, bro. Oh, shit, man. Come on, bro. Let's just go play here, man. Walk this shit out, man. Who baby you think it is? I don't know. Yeah, she been lying to you. She been lying to you this whole time, bro. I don't know, man. Not yet.
I mean, now this was, to be clear, that wasn't Darius, and it was on his show where he talked about that and played the clip. But yeah, man, and I don't know, you got to know how serious it is for a woman's brothers to be hugging you outside behind it. That's like, look, we got to protect her. That's our sister, but damn, because at the end of the day, no man wants to go through that, right? But apparently, from what we gather, he's been lied to about the parentage of the child, got the DNA results from what I understand, found out otherwise, and her behavior, her whole demeanor was, I wasn't with him anyway. And you can tell he fell in love with the child, and if you've been grown, you've been around for a while, you know how easy that is. Because I done had some exes with some absolutely beautiful kids, and one of the weird things, I remember one of them in particular, we had a discussion as we were breaking up, and she was saying, well, yeah, we're going to end it here. But, I don't know how she got to it, but she was asking me, are you going to take my daughters to Disneyland? And I was like, what the fuck? Where did that come from? We didn't talk about Disneyland anyway. So I really didn't, it wasn't like I promised it and then wasn't going to do it because we were breaking up. She just brought it out of nowhere, and she said, well, yeah, usually my exes still, come through and take care of my kids, send me money, whatever. I'm like, yeah, I don't roll like that. Well, can I come get your son every now and again? No. We don't do that. And let me clarify what I mean. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to have contact with kids of exes or vice, them with your child or any of that. But my thing is this: if you have ever gotten disrespectful with me to the point where you clearly have, no kind of positivity toward me, you're not about to be around my son. I don't play that. If you don't got a kind word to say about me, I'm not putting you in contact with my child. It's not happening. Not at all. You know what I mean? And similarly, if you're not going to be in contact with my children, I'm not really about to be coming out for yours. Now, I may, if we leave on good terms, I might call every now and again, blue moon, say hello or whatever. But that's kind of as far as that goes. But I do understand what it's like for a man to fall in love with the kids or somebody he's with, even if he finds out, even if he's been lied to about the parentage, you can tell that broke his heart. That absolutely broke his heart, straight up. And people are going to laugh because he cried. People are going to laugh because of how he sounded, make fun of him for being in the situation. We get to be keyboard warriors a lot in this, in all these spaces where we talk about people, and what they've experienced. But again, that pain if you've ever been with someone whose kids you fell in love with. That pain. It ain't lightweight. But that's one example. Now this next example comes out of fiction. And I may do something more direct on this soon, but I just finished the last episode last night of Life of Ptolemy Gray. This is on Apple TV. This is Samuel Jackson's new series, written by Walter Mosley. I think this was their pet project for a while. They finally got it to screen. And I would say this is probably Samuel Jackson's best performance. It's probably his best performance. Real talk. He does some excellent dramatic work. Usually he plays somebody fairly, invulnerable, but this time around, he's playing somebody pretty vulnerable. He's playing an older man who's dealing with dementia, possibly Alzheimer's, and he comes across someone with this kind of miracle drug that is going to make him worse in the long run, but it's going to give him a few days of absolute clarity. And in this particular scene, he's talking to the young lady that kind of becomes his caretaker, and he's explaining his marriage. He's over 90. She's a young 18-year-old woman. And so he's explaining to her about his wife, his past marriage. And the woman he was married to, his name is Cynthia. So he talks a little bit about what that relationship looked like. So let me play a little bit of that. And here we go. Oh, man, I hate this. It keeps switching on me. There we go. All right, so let's try that again. Let's see if it goes through.
You really never show Cincy one of these?
Not a one.
Why?
Cynthia was one of the most beautiful, pure souls I have ever known. She was also a woman of great appetites. She'd know about that treasure. Wouldn't have been no stopping that woman.
Oh, so you're saying she would have stolen?
Oh, no. She wouldn't spend it all on herself. She'd spread it around. Friends, family, lovers.
Wait, you mean like boyfriends?
They ain't always have to be men.
What? It was like that?
Mm.
And you just accepted it?
I accepted her.
Now, I don't know how much of that you can make up. And because I watched the whole series, I do apologize if the lack of context makes it more confusing. But basically, what he was explaining in that moment was that the nature of his wife was such that she kept other partners. Now, there's an interesting scene to connect with this, or actually, it's the continuation of the scene, but there's another part to it that I want you to hear. But basically, he's saying she had boyfriends, she had girlfriends while they were married. So here we go.
So what about you? Do you have any appetites?
I slipped up one time. This friend of Cynthia's named Lolly.
Oh, like a revenge thing.
Unexpected thing. Cynthia was out of town for the weekend. Lolly asked could she cook dinner for me, took me to her place. Only happened to once, but I hated myself for it. Cynthia took one sniff of me, she knew, kicked me out. An hour later, she come looking for me, saying she'd die if we couldn't be together. I never looked at another woman again.
Now, this shit It's so, I mean, this is a Walter Mosley written piece, but it's so deeply embedded at this point that it's in our fiction. And too many men can tell you stories that are reminiscent of this. So basically, if you didn't hear that part, despite how many affairs she had, he slept on her around on her once with her friend. But here's the missing piece to it. If you didn't overlooked it, as much as it may be understanding about the friendship thing, he didn't say Cincha knew it was her friend. She said she smelled it on him. Could have been perfume. She knew that way, or it could have been the fact that he just smelled like sex. But the point was, she kicked him out at the smallest sense that he'd done something, right? And then came back to get him later. Now, she'd been having affairs left and right. My point in raising this is it's very much consistent with some of the other things we've been seeing about what Black men have to endure. And part of the problem with this is we talk a lot about what Black women have to endure. And we've heard 40 years of media stories about these horrible situations where women have had to endure all kinds of treatment, but we haven't talked about what Black men have had to endure. And I've just shown you a few clips. Now, the latest one that's been in the news the most, you guys are more than familiar with. And y'all know the deal. This is a piece you can find on NewYorkPost.com. Jada Pinkett Smith never wanted to marry Will, cried at horrible wedding. Right? Pinkett Smith confessed that she really didn't want to get married to Will Smith. In fact, the Matrix actress, now on the roasting spit of Smith's infamous Oscar smackdown of Chris Rock, blah, 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 admitted to crying down the freaking aisle before tying the knot with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air star on New Year's Eve in 1997. That I was under so much pressure, being a young actress, being young, and I was just like pregnant, and I just didn't know what to do, declared Pinkett Smith, who's now 50, in a freshly exhumed snippet from her Red Top Table Facebook series, I Never Wanted to Be Married. In the clip from 2018, which has resurfaced amid renewed controversy around her. Man, I'm so sick of entanglement. I really am tired of this shit. But anyway, skipping all through that. She recalls her mother, Adrienne Banfield Norris, also known as Gammy, 68, forcing her and Smith to wed after she became pregnant with their first son together, Jaden, now 23. I really didn't want to get married, she says again, kind of goes from there. We got married because Gammy was crying, a chuckling Smith informed Willow. It was almost as if Gammy was like, you have to get married, so let's talk about the wedding, says Pinkett Smith, prompting Banfield Norris to confess, I remember feeling very strongly and wanting you guys to be married. God damn. The Girls Trip star mother was just 18 when she became pregnant with Pinkett Smith and briefly married her father, Robsel Pinkett Jr. I do remember wanting you and Will to get married, but I don't remember your rejection of the idea of marriage, she added. I remember the rejection of the idea of a wedding, but not of a marriage. Pinkett Smith then recalled being browbeaten into big day submission. Browbeaten. She was browbeaten into marrying one of the most famous Black men in the world. Browbeaten. This is whole. I mean, the fact that this was ever even put out is such an incredible disrespect to Will. Now, I stand with a lot of people and wishing Will chose otherwise. I still do. But that's part of the reason why we're talking about this today. Part of the reason that I'm bringing any of this up is because, as a couple of people on my Facebook page put it, well, I'll just read what they put it because they, the way they put it was so impactful that I had to actually write it down. Temple, the name of the guy or person who writes the first part, says this needs to be a deeper discussion about how Black men are raised in a love-starved environment. This is all too common and very unhealthy for us. Cameron, who responds to that statement, says, we accept one-way love too much. And that was the reason I wanted to do this tonight. The exhaustion I'm talking about is a product of both Temple and Cameron's statement, but Cameron's kind of hits the crescendo of it. We accept one-way love too much. We think that in many respects, the better we treat her or the more we reach the standard that we've been told since birth we're supposed to be of the good Black man, that she will reciprocate with love, with affection, with loyalty, all of that. And much of the time, it remains a one-way dynamic. We have to learn how to read the signs and when to walk away, when to reevaluate, when to assess that this isn't changing. And I've had problems with that. I don't know too many brothers that at some point in their lives haven't, especially if you've gotten over 40. You've been through some shit. You can't be, the unfailing alpha in every situation where nothing hurts you. I mean, this image of, we got to drop this shit. The reality is that most men have their breaking point in a relationship at some point. And unfortunately, based on the kind of commentary, the kind of stories, and trust me when I tell you, I get at least, I think now I'm up to somewhere between 40 and 50 messages a day from Black men, from Twitter to Instagram to Facebook to private emails to phone calls to texts to YouTube comments. Yeah, I'm at least, and I'm being kind when I say 40 to 50. It's probably a little higher than that. But these kind of stories are rampant of this kind of one-way love and this desire to validate ourselves by meeting some fictitious standard that many of us have never seen. And here's the twist. Many of the women who are requiring this standard have never seen. And it's an interesting one-way set of standards too, because many of these brothers don't even have a standard that they're measuring her against. They're measuring her against an idea of something they themselves have not experienced. Acceptance, love, loyalty, so on and so forth. And this is what I mean when I say exhausting. Exhausting. So I'm saying that the first step in this process is to recognize when it's not being reciprocated. And that's hard to do when you're in it. It really is hard to do. It's hard to put your desires to the side. It's hard to put your hopes to the side. But the reality is, this is something brothers got to learn to do. And I don't care how hard a player you think you are, at some point you get into it. And here's the twist, just like with the video I played earlier, it could also involve a child. You can fall in love not just with a woman, but a woman and her child. No, I don't mean anything sexual in regard to the child, but you can fall in love with a person and connect another person to it. And it's all mixed up in there. And it can be the hardest thing in the world to pull out of a situation that's horrible, even though you're attached to some element of it. Shout out to Mr. Z. What's going on with you, man? He said, I say it all the time. The internet is going to expose us all. Look how bold women are being. Jada is just overt about it. Transactional. Yeah. And I think in many respects, Will had an idea about what things would be, what he could get out of her. I think his self-value is tied into her approval. And there's got to be a point where you walk away. What's up, Black Uru? I'm sorry, I didn't see you in there. Uru says they cannot love us the way we love them. It's not in them. Hey, what's up, Reynolds? Rob Black, what's going on? See a few brothers in here I didn't see earlier. I missed your comment. It's nothing personal. Sometimes trying to maintain a train of thought, and I haven't quite balanced it all yet. Sometimes looking at the comments throws me off. Rob Black, welcome to the Onyx Brotherhood. Uneducated Lane, what's going on with you? Freddie Wayne, what's up? Yeah, but I know it's a heavy subject, but it is what it is, because this is the kind of shit we go through every day. And there's another scene in Ptolemy Gray that I think I'll deal with in another show, but it shows the lengths that some Black men will go through to deal with the depression. And I have known brothers in this space who are avid content creators that at some point or another had a gun in their hand and were sitting by themselves, drinking a bottle, wondering if they should still be here. I've contacted brothers who were sitting in cars, facing brick walls, gunning the engine, really planning to be gone. Over the last 2 years, I done had more brothers trying to commit suicide reach out to me than I can say. And it's not because I'm a specialist. I'm not even a therapist. It's not like I do. The only thing I did was I raised the issue of Black male suicide. And I tried to say at the very least at the very least, because I don't obviously know so many people that are grappling with it, that we've all grappled with it on one level or another at some point. And if you haven't, just wait. But we've all grappled with it. You need to be here, even if you can't understand why at the moment. And to never make decisions at your lowest point. You're not seeing things clearly. Stay alive. All things will change around. Y'all know this is my favorite KRS-One line. I say it every time suicide comes up. Stay alive. All things will change around. If you ain't heard it, look up that song. Oh yeah, KRS-One. That's what it is. Never let the moment control you or decide for you what your value is. But at the end of the day, in the midst of that pain, at 3 a.m, when you're sitting by yourself in a dark room, the thoughts can get to you. And when all you've ever known is infrequent or inconsistent affection, lack of validation, lack of affirmation, lack of support, or the appearance or misrepresentation of support in exchange for material goods, or sometimes it's just about attention. I've known plenty of brothers that told me that they were with women who only wanted to use them for attention, and they were dropped the moment she thought she had a better option. And when that option didn't turn out to be what she hoped it was, called him back to put him back on the job of paying her attention till she could find something better. Patrice O'Neal used to talk about it in terms of, a woman jumping on your ship, and then she'll crash your ship and go jump onto another one while you're sitting there sinking with yours. And of course, he put it in a far funnier way than I am, but his point was valid. At some point, you have to step back. And really, the only weakness that we have for situations like that are really not about them. They're about us. They're about us being a slave to what we want. And we associate what we want with key women. Sometimes based on how they look, sometimes based on things they say, things they do, it can be anything. But we attach an idea to a person, and we hope that if this person lives out this idea, it'll change us. It'll make us feel a certain way. This is what's meant by detachment. Detachment doesn't just mean cutting everybody off and walking away. That's not what detachment is. What detachment is disassociating the idea you've attached to something and then determining that thing has value in how you define yourself and who you are and what kind of value you must innately have. Figure it out. What is the attachment you have to this person? What is the idea you have associated with them? Because often it has nothing to do with them. And I'll give you another secret. Their behavior has nothing to do with you. For example, with Jada and Will, Jada's behavior really doesn't have anything to do with Will. This is some shit she's dealing with and has been dealing with for the longest. And Will thinks that he can change it. It's her decision to make. You can't make her do it. You can't change her. You have to accept that that's how she is. And just like Ptolemy Gray, you either accept it or you bounce. And no one way, no decision is better than the other. It all comes down to what's real to you. And it's not that I'm telling brothers they need to leave at all times. What I'm saying to you is do not be shamed into believing that you can't leave. Because that's another tactic, right? That's that Iyanla Vanzant tactic. You got to stay in the room, sit with it. No, you don't. It makes you no less of a black man to decide to not put up with dysfunction and being used and being abused and manipulated for someone else's issues. That's not the measure of a good man. Now, you can stay, you can accept it, you can work it out. I have no judgment one way or the other. But I hope that what you do is based on what's best for your own mental health and not about pleasing other people or hoping that if you act a certain way, she'll reciprocate in a way that just makes you feel all warm and fuzzy. The shit doesn't work. And it's filled with disrespect. So if at the end of the day, if you accept that, you'll find that you're happy and then you're sad and you're angry and your emotions are all over the place based on what she does. So every whimsical feeling she has, however she responds to you, it changes your whole emotional framework. That's also when you know you're in trouble. If you make your sense of well-being dependent upon someone else's mood perspective, feelings, you're on a roller coaster. And it can go south real fast. Don't ever give anybody that much influence over your well-being. They don't determine that, you do. You decide what comes into your space. As my good brother Sarah kind of put it, it's almost like your well-being is like a garden. Right? You tend to that garden and you only allow in it what you choose. So whether that means keeping toxic people out of your space, hell, it could even come down to not listening to music that you know fucks with your spirit. Whatever you have to do to maintain your peace should determine your decision making. That's what it should come down to. Because these kind of situations we just got through looking to tonight, you should be exhausted with. People should be held accountable for how they treat you, but at the end of the day, you have to be most accountable to what you tolerate. And no matter how attached you are to a situation, are you healthy enough to disassociate from it when you realize that it ain't good for you? A lot of us aren't built that way, mainly because that's not how we've been socialized. We were taught this Walt Disney idea of being a man was to rescue a woman from the castle and from the dragon. You save her and you pay her bills and you do this with her and you give her the life she said she wanted in order for her to be happy. And if you do so, you are truly a good man. No. That's not the measure. If people can't take you in a healthy state, they don't belong in your space, man. Yeah. So, and I think Will, in many ways, and this is the thing, I see so many people disgusted by Will, and I get it. But at the other end of the day, I think a lot of people, brothers especially, are frustrated by Will because in many ways he reflects what we ourselves have been through. Given too much in a toxic way to a toxic person, looking for validation that they couldn't give you if they wanted to. And truth be told, even if they could, it'd still be poisonous. We don't know what it means to stand apart from dysfunction and toxicity, especially if that's what we've grown up seeing. And as Temple said in the quote I read, if we were raised in love-starved environments by people who don't know how to love. And again, I said this last night, when I say love, I'm not talking about these fleeting emotional flowers and candy and music bullshit. Last night when I was talking about protection, the kind of love I was talking about coming from men is about the outcome. As fathers, as husbands, as whatever, making sure the ones we love have the outcome needed for them to do well in life. I was talking about that being the type of love that comes from men. Much of it, in terms of what men look for, need to receive, is rooted in respect. That's how we process love. Through respect. And if it's not coming with respect, it will poison you. And so I hope that this may have been of some use to you. It's not about sentimentality. That's right, Indigo. What's up? Good to see you. It's not about, flowery feelings and love notes and all of that is well and good. I ain't putting it down. It is what it is. But, you do get to a point when you mature where you realize that love is more than that. It's the respect value, the respect aspect, the loyalty, the consistency. But I was talking to a good brother of mine who's actually in a happy marriage. And I realized I think I may have only seen one or two in my entire lifetime, but he's definitely in one. I've known them as a couple for over a decade. And one of the things I can say when he and I were talking about this today is the type of love that he really benefits from most is based on a decision she made to stand with him in a very particular way. It is a way that is deeply rooted in a respect for him, who he is, what he brings to the table. But it's a decision because all her girlfriends, as he was explaining to me, who are reaching over 50 at this point, and they're feminists and they're alone and they got their cat. And, it's like it's like a feminist kit. They got the cat, let me not go down the list. I don't want to out anybody. But anyway, They're all unhappy and frustrated, even though they lived out the independent fantasy the way they always said they would. And they would trade everything they had in for a second for what she has. And they've told her as such. But at the same time, they still occasionally look at her sideways for the type of support that she gives him. And even though we were talking about it and I was saying she can change her mind any moment. I've been watching videos where people on Reddit are talking about, the woman joined a class or the woman joined a book club, and the next thing they know, she changed into someone they didn't recognize and blew up the relationship. But at the end of the day, she makes a consistent daily decision to stand with him and to impart him with respect. And that is the basis of what she gives to him. Fellas, if you don't feel that type of respect, if you don't sense it, and by feel, I'm not even talking about emotionally. I'm just talking about in terms of all of your senses, most particularly your intellect and your intuition. If you don't feel it, look at that very closely. Because relationships are like a contract. Whatever you sign up for in the beginning tends to be what you get. The things that mildly annoy you in the first part, in the early part of it, will get on your damn nerves years later. And that's just human nature. It is what it is. But if the things that get on your nerves are fundamental issues, I hope you've developed the capacity to identify what those are. Shout out to INIR2. Says thank you, Doc. Channel is underappreciated, well needed. You're a godsend. And on one of the only black male YouTubers, you keep me sane and alive. Keep doing what you're doing. Much gratitude. No, that blows me away, man. I appreciate that. I hope that something I've said has helped. I know a lot of this shit I wish somebody told me much earlier. Shout out to Brandon. What's up? Says thanks for the wrench, good brother. Your work has helped me in my own marriage. Much appreciated. I hope it has. Black Excellence. Appreciate that support. Says I've seen countless black women's platforms literally calling for the murder of black men en masse. How are these platforms still around? Is mind-boggling. Is it even legal beyond social media to encourage murder? Actually, absolutely. Yeah. Valid question. Just like the brother whose video I played said these dusties need to be in a box. Ridiculous. So that's it. I hope you guys find peace. I hope you share resources, share stories, share knowledge, share experiences, share lessons. This is how we learn. So hopefully someone doesn't have to go through years of hell if they're able to actually learn from you. So I do hope you take advantage of the comment section. Share your experiences about what you wish you knew, what you came to understand, especially about dealing with relationships. I'm not a relationship counselor. I'm not a hookup artist. I'm not a coach. I'm not trying to do none of that shit. I'm just sharing a little bit of what I've learned. And one of the things I've learned is associating your fantasies and dreams with someone else and then trying to hold them accountable for making you feel better is a recipe for disaster. Far easier and far better to cultivate joy, contentment, happiness in your own life and share it with somebody that's willing to cultivate the same in theirs. Both of you be emotionally mature enough to keep yourself happy. It's something you share with someone else. It's not something you wait on someone else to make you feel. It doesn't work. So anyway, wish y'all well. Shout out to Egbert. Says paying tuition for the new school of thought. Thanks, Doc. Man, much appreciated. Like I said, I hope it helps. Y'all share with me your experiences. I learn all the time from the stuff y'all write in, and much of the time it's mind-blowing to me. But anyway, y'all have a good night, good weekend. Peace to you.